I was speaking with someone about the events you are doing here in Spain, in Barcelona and Madrid, and someone asked me, so all what you are saying is very, very good, but exactly what it is that they sell.
What it is that
they sell.
We don't sell anything. In fact, you can't buy it. It's the most precious. My teacher called it the most precious diamond. But it's the most precious that can't be bought and can't be sold. It's your own nature. And we're not here to sell it to you, and we're not here for you to buy it. We're only here to be a mirror so that you can see yourself and recognize yourself.
And that being said, we do charge money to attend the retreats, but I remember writing Papaji once and saying, is it okay to charge money? And he said, of course, you have your expenses to live. And but often we make the point when we have a meeting to say, you haven't rented us for these hours. This is, we're coming together and money is involved, but it's not to buy the teachings.
And you can't buy the teaching. If you had all the money in the world, you couldn't buy this. You can only receive it. And if you have all the money in the world, you have a hard time receiving it because you have so much in front between you and receiving it.
Good. Wow. So here, I imagine that in everywhere in the world, but here in Spain we are having difficult times, and especially in Madrid where we are now. Tonight there is a big demonstration, and I was wondering if we are looking for peace. And so do you encourage this kind of demonstrations?
Well, I'd say we don't encourage or discourage. What we encourage is for people to be very still, to stop the internal discussion, and then to discover what is it my life is being used for? What is it I truly support with all my life? And this may mean demonstrating, and it may mean staying at home. There's no formula, so we don't try to direct people's lives in any way. We really support them in telling the truth. You may have something different because I've been involved in demonstrations, and we've been involved in demonstrations together in the early civil rights time in the U.S. and
the anti-nuclear time.
And the anti-nuclear time, and so
Gangaji went to jail for trying to stop the nuclear power plant they were building in California.
Wow.
And it was a wonderful experience. It was putting my life behind my talk. So I know the value of that, but I also know the trap of that. So it's an adventure, and everyone has to choose for themselves.
Yes.
And what we
beautiful.
Same.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. So, demonstrations are really what changed my life. When I went to the South in the United States because it was apartheid, I was 18 years old. I got on a bus to go down to demonstrate against the apartheid in this country, in my country, and it was people had just been beaten to death the day before I got on the bus. They were putting dogs and people on horses were beating the people. It was a scary, terrifying time. Somebody from my neighborhood had gone down that summer and was found dead in a swamp in Mississippi. And so to get on the bus was the most terrifying thing, but freedom was calling. I had to do it. And in doing that, you step on the bus for freedom. There's a possibility. The trap is you become power mad, and you see the great revolutionaries will all become power mad. The possibility is in stepping out of the bounds of normal society, there's a release, and you have an opportunity to discover something deeper. And so you can do the demonstration with full peace in your heart, in which case you're in service, whether you demonstrate or not. If there's full rage in your heart, you're not in service to yourself or to the demonstration.
So both of you always speak about stopping. And I know that for some people, even for myself, sometimes I struggle to remember to stop. You know, when you are in the middle of 3 telephone calls and then the kids are fighting and then your boss is asking you. So how can we not forget about stopping or to remember?
Well, Papaji said stop, and that was such a powerful word, and to allow that in was so challenging to me, to my thinking mind and to my emotions, that I've always said stop because it was so powerful to me. But really, what's being pointed to is what is already stopped.
So the possibility is you stop once, finally, to discover what's already stopped and never moves. And then to realize that that's who you are. And when you realize it, you can't forget it. It's not like, oh, I've got to remember my name, or I've got to you realize something that is unforgettable. Then your life goes on as it does. It's not about stopping your activities or stopping what's happening in your life.
Or even stopping your stress.
There's nothing to stop at that point. Then things roll as they roll, but they're rolling from a ground of freedom, from a ground of stillness, from a ground of not moving. That's what stopping points to. It's not like, oh, stop, oh, stop, oh, stop. You stop once and for all, finally. Realize yourself. Realize the truth. And then your life carries on as it does, but you're not personally identified. And if you find yourself personally identified, then you examine it. That's where the self-inquiry is. How am I personally identified here with something that moves instead of what's stopped, what's already stopped? Then it's useful, and everything's useful.
So another big thing is fear. Fear of everything. And I was wondering, how do you feel? How do you deal with fear? Like, do you have, I mean, fear of the money or of the health or of the...
Fear is a part of being an animal, and we are human animals, and so fear is in here, just like hunger is here. It's all part of survival, and it's intelligent. So there are definitely fears that appear, but if you don't fear fear, then fear is not the problem. Fear appears, and it's either appropriate or inappropriate, because there's no necessity for fear to be absent, and there's no necessity to follow fear. So fear is like weather. It's maybe uncomfortable. Anger appears, happiness appears, sadness appears. All of the human emotions appear. For me, anyway, I'm speaking from my experience. And some are unpleasant and some are quite pleasant, but none of them can really touch that which is already stopped and always still.
Beautiful. So beautiful. So the only thing I could add to that is that when we are not willing to be afraid, we think instead. When you're afraid and it's natural, you don't have to think about what to do. If there's a bus coming and you're afraid, you jump back. There's danger, oh, you do, you move, you do what you have to do. But if it's inappropriate, if you're afraid of being afraid, then you have to wonder, what should I do? And then you talk to yourself about what I should do. And then you have arguments, and then you have discussions, and then you have a whole panel about what they said I should do, and what I read I should do, and what I think I should do, and what other... And all of that is to avoid the fear, because there's a fear of fear. If you're not afraid of fear, you're afraid, and you do what you do.
And if you're not afraid of fear, when fear appears and it's inappropriate, it's a habit, a pattern, a vasana of your personality or your character, you can actually take a moment and just investigate what's alive in the core of fear. Because really we only have fear because we love something. Either we love our life, or we love someone else's life, or the planet, and we have fear that we will lose it, or we love our health, or we love our money, or we love our politics, and we have fear that it will be taken from us. So if we're willing to, just for a moment, allow our attention to drop into the fear and discover what is its source, we discover actually love and spaciousness. That fear is not separate from love, ever.
And so this inappropriate fear that Gangaji is speaking of, not the fear because there's a danger, but fear because I'm wired, or I'm to be that way, or I have this habit and this pattern. These fears always are based on a story about what's next. There has to be a future in order to have fear produced. Because the fear is not about what's here in this moment. If it is, that's appropriate fear. If there's danger in this moment, run, or fight, or do whatever you do. If there's no danger in this moment and there's fear, and this inappropriate fear has to be based on a story of me and where I've come from and where I'm going, and what's next, and what's dangerous that I don't know. And that's the neurosis of the mind that can stop. And it stops when you're willing to investigate, as Gangaji said, what is this? What's here? And if you go into this imaginary fear, it disappears. It's not there. If you just take the name fear off of it, it's not there. It has to be accompanied by and induced by a story. Without a story, it doesn't exist.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gangaji and Eli, and I really hope you enjoyed the stay here in Spain, Madrid, and that you came back next time.
Thank you so much. We love the people, we love the culture, we love being here, and we love you, and so grateful for you for making it possible.
Thank you.